In this video, we'll show you the top 15 former sex bombs who have aged the worst. They were once stunningly beautiful sex symbols, but some of them you won't even recognize today. Let's dive right in. Number 15, Marlo Thomas. She was best known for her lead role as Anne Marie in the TV comedy series That Girl, which ran for 5 seasons between 1965 and 1971. She played an aspiring young actress who dreamed of making it big in Hollywood. After her sudden fame, she appeared in countless stage, film, and television productions throughout her long career. However, none of the roles were as prominent as in That Girl. Perhaps her most notable character was Sandra Green, Rachel's mom on Friends, but she only appeared in 3 episodes. Marlo also played minor guest roles in popular shows like Ugly Betty, Law & Order, Special Victims Unit, and Ally McBeal. In 1980, she married famed TV personality Phil Donahue, and the two remain married to this day. Marlo has had a long, successful, and very busy career, carving a name for herself in Hollywood as an actress, producer, writer, and even a social activist and humanitarian. But one thing is for sure, her looks have drastically changed with age, and many fans and critics alike think there may have been some plastic surgeries to blame for it. Some have even compared her nose to Michael Jackson, and one expert says her face looks abnormal, stretched, and pulled back. However, in 2008, she told one news outlet, "I have never had plastic surgery and wouldn't." But what do you think? Did she or didn't she have plastic surgery? Number 14, Shelly Duval. She was once an immaculate beauty. But what exactly went wrong for Shelly Duval? Who can ever forget her as the attractive Wendy Torrance in The Shining? Yes, Jack Nicholson put forth a spectacular performance in the Stephen King horror film, but the movie would not have been the same without Shelly.
Here's Johnny!
In the 70s and 80s, she had a sexual charm to her that few actresses had. It seemed it came naturally for her. Besides The Shining, she also starred in other classic films, like Popeye with Robin Williams, and had numerous other roles in the years that followed. But then Shelly disappeared, and most people wouldn't even recognize her now. So what happened to her? The most telling answer was probably in 2016, when she appeared on Dr. Phil. It was clear that she struggled with her mental health. But now, after disappearing for 20 years, Shelly finally made her Hollywood comeback, and fittingly, it is once again in a horror movie. Here she is in the 2023 film, The Forest Hills. What do you think of her looks now compared to her younger self? And don't you agree that she deserves a second chance in Hollywood? Number 13, Ursula Andress. The first time the whole world really took notice of Swiss sex bomb, Ursula Andress, was when she took our breaths away as the stunning Honey Rider in the 1962 Bond film, Dr. No. Sean Connery was James Bond, 007, and she was his leading girl. Even Bond himself was awestruck when Honey came walking out of the ocean in that white bikini. By the way, that bikini was later auctioned for just over $50,000 in 2001. And a few years ago, news headlines estimated it could fetch around 10 times as much. That's right, $500,000. She was just 26 at the time, but her sex symbol role swung Hollywood's doors wide open for her. Ursula would showcase her flawless beauty in countless movies to come, including Hollywood classics like Fun in Acapulco, 4 for Texas, Nightmare in the Sun, What's New Pussycat, and many more. Between 1963 and 1997, the blonde wowed us with her ageless beauty and stunning bombshell looks. Then Ursula would appear in one more film in 2005, St. Francis Bird's Tour, and then she just disappeared. After welcoming her son Dimitri in 1980, she took fewer and fewer roles and finally retired. Now, she is said to be living a quiet life between Rome and Switzerland. But can you believe that this is the same person? Number 12, Brigitte Bardot. This French actress was an absolute international sex symbol in the 50s and 60s, and she loved flaunting her assets in front of the camera. Brigitte Bardot knew she was sexy, and her public image was that of a sexual, sensual, and erotic blonde. She also did not shy away from steamy nude scenes, and she completely shattered Hollywood taboos of the time, appearing in racy films early on in her career. Apart from being a super hot actress, she was also a singer and a model, with her career spanning only until the early 70s before she retired from celebrity life. She is well known for her activism, but also for her many controversial and racial statements. She's been very outspoken against the hashtag #MeToo movement and also against actresses who claim to have been harassed by producers. In one interview, she blatantly said that in most cases, the claims of some actresses are hypocritical, ridiculous, without interest. That's a bit harsh though, don't you think? But according to her, she loved the sexual compliments from producers and did not see it as harassment at all. Do you think her grumpy attitude had anything to do with how she aged? Number 11, Kathleen Turner. Who can ever forget the beautiful young Kathleen Turner from the 80s and 90s who turned heads with her piercing eyes and husky voice? Her first television appearance was in the soap opera, The Doctors, which ran from 1962 to 1983. Turner was a regular on the show, appearing in 243 episodes between 1978 and 1979. Turner herself later said her character on the show was so dumb that she struggled to justify the words that were coming out of her mouth. So, she eventually asked the show's creators to make her character a drunk. Even on that dull and boring show, it was already clear that Turner was stunningly beautiful, but she would soon shock the whole world with that stunning body. In 1981, she starred in the highly erotic film Body Heat. The spicy love scenes turned her into an overnight sexual sensation. Kathleen Turner had a very successful career from there on out, appearing in film and television every single year right up until 2001. After that, her roles became fewer and fewer, and with time, her sultry looks faded. But as she once explained, she wanted to be recognized as a talented actress instead of just a pretty face, and so she chose her roles accordingly. I was considered a sex symbol only for a while. I fought my way out of it very quickly. The power of my attractiveness for years was indeed an asset, but that did not control my choices at all. Number 10, Kelly McGillis. Who can forget the super hot blonde in Top Gun? In 1986, Kelly McGillis blasted onto our screens, starring opposite Tom Cruise as his love interest. But then she wasn't in the second Top Gun movie, so what happened to her? Even before Top Gun, Kelly's bombshell beauty was hard to miss. Just the year before, she appeared in the film Witness as the sexy young Rachel. Harrison Ford starred in the lead role. Kelly's sex bomb charm was also unmissable in the 1983 film Reuben, Reuben. However, what you may think was a glamorous life for a hot blonde starlet had already been marked by a horrific event. In 1982, just after moving to New York to pursue acting, she was sexually assaulted by two men. They had forced their way into her apartment and took turns on her, holding a knife to her eye. She later shared the horror story in an interview saying, "I'll never forget the way they smelled, like alcohol and old sweat." But aside from that, Kelly also hid a well-kept secret that would eventually bring more and more tragedy into her life. Secretly, she was a lesbian. She thought the sexual assault was a punishment because she was gay. She started to drink too much and it got out of control, and it also led to bad love choices. As she told People magazine, "I would put myself in demeaning relationships with men. It made me feel horrible, but it seemed to be what I deserved." While in a failing marriage with 2 children, she finally gave in to her sexuality when she fell in love with a bar lady called Melanie Lace. But even though their relationship was one of wild passion, it was also a very destructive one, surrounded by heavy boozing and drugs. By 2002, she finally took steps to get sober, but it would not be until 2008 that she finally returned to the screen in minor roles. In 2019, she also revealed that she suffers from alpha-1 antitrypsin disorder, an illness that can lead to lung and kidney disease. Number 9, Janice Dickinson. She was one of the world's first and greatest supermodels ever. In the 70s and 80s, she graced the covers of magazines all over the world and strutted her stuff on international catwalks. She was a super beauty and was on the fast track to global fame. But tragically, the more famous she became, the more her horrible past crept up on her. During her childhood and teenage years, she suffered terrible mental and physical abuse at the hands of her father. And on top of that, he would often lock her away in closets and other places. And the reason her father was so mean to her is nothing short of tragic. Because he wanted to sleep with Janice, and she always refused and defended herself. So, as a result, her father would punish her for resisting. But as her fame as a supermodel grew, so too did her addiction to drugs and alcohol, and she found her life spiraling out of control. And more tragedy hit when she was just 27 years old. As she claims, she was sexually assaulted by Bill Cosby.
The next morning I woke up and I wasn't wearing my pajamas, and I remember before I passed out that I had been sexually assaulted by this man. The last thing I remember was Bill Cosby.
Throughout her long career as a supermodel, She also dabbled in music and in film and television, with her most recent acting work in the 2023 series Barbie Rehab as Dr. Janice. However, it seems that her years of addiction have not been too kind on her aging process. Or do you think maybe it was all the hell that she had to endure throughout her life? Number 8. Melanie Griffith. Melanie Griffith undoubtedly had a long and successful Hollywood career and had carved a name out for herself from a very early age. Maybe it helped that her mother, Tippi Hedren, was also a very famous actress of her time. Because Melanie landed her first acting role when she was just 14 years old. It was a minor role, but it was a foot in the door. It's no secret that Melanie was married to actor Don Johnson, with whom she shares a daughter, actress Dakota Johnson. But did you know they were actually married twice? Today, their love story would raise eyebrows, and it would definitely not be deemed appropriate. It was while on the set of her first film as an extra at just 14 years old that she first met Don, who was 22 at the time. The two fell in love and started dating, and they moved in together when she was just 15. Don finally proposed to her when she was 18, but their love story was not to last, and they got divorced only 6 months after tying the knot for the first time. Their second marriage, however, did a little better and lasted from 1989 to 1996. She was also married to actor Stephen Bauer, with whom she shares a child, Alexander Bauer. And directly after splitting from Don for the second time, she married Antonia Banderas. They also share a daughter together, actress Stella Banderas. The years had seemingly also not been very kind to Melanie, as she'd lost her beauty over the years. She's also been very open about her regrets over getting cosmetic surgery, which she admits had changed her face completely. Number 7. Goldie Hawn. Goldie Hawn can be described as a living legend, and her longtime love affair with Kurt Russell is one for the ages. Her first TV role was in 1967 in a rather unsuccessful series called Good Morning World, in which she played the typical stereotype dumb blonde. But it was not long before the world took notice of her, when she appeared as a regular star on the comedy sketch program Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. She did 60 episodes between 1968 and 1970, and the show gave her career a massive boost. Young and unbelievably beautiful, the all-natural blonde sex bomb was one of Hollywood's sexiest actresses, and Hollywood was hers for the taking. From her second marriage to actor Bill Hudson, Goldie shares children Kate and Oliver Hudson, both who have carved out successful Hollywood careers for themselves. Goldie and Kurt have been together since 1983 and still appear ever madly in love with each other. Even though they never got married, they have a son together, actor Wyatt Russell. Goldie has starred in countless movies throughout her career, right up until 2020. However, in recent years, there have been many rumors and questions about plastic surgery. Many professionals and doctors have speculated that she may have had some procedures done. From facelifts to fillers to Botox, it's all just speculation. And Goldie has never addressed the rumors, but what do you think? Does she still look natural? Number 6. Courtney Cox. Who was the sexiest on Friends, Rachel or Monica? While Jennifer Aniston is still a super hot sex bomb even today, Courtney Cox hasn't aged as gracefully, and we'll tell you exactly what happened to her. Even though she is most famous for playing Monica in Friends from 1994 to 2004, her career started long before that, and she's also had a pretty good career even after Friends ended. From as early as 1975, when she was just 11 years old, she would land small roles or guest appearances on popular shows of the time, including The Love Boat and Murder, she wrote. Her first breakthrough came in 1987 in the television series Family Ties, where she featured in 19 episodes. She played Lauren Miller, the girlfriend of Michael J. Fox's character Alex P. Keaton. Following her breakthrough, a long and hard-earned successful career followed in both film and television, most notably her leading role as Gale Weathers in the Scream horror franchise. To date, Courtney has starred in 6 Scream films between 1996 and 2023, and it seems that the franchise has no plans to call it quits anytime soon. However, as the years crept on by, she tried to keep up with the process of aging and opted for several cosmetic procedures. It would later come to be one of her biggest regrets in life. Some of her procedures left her almost unrecognizable. Thankfully for Courtney, her procedures were all reversible, and she is now taking a more natural approach to getting older. Number 5. Kim Novak. She was a beautiful young star with an air of sweet innocence about her, yet at the same time, she was a stunning blonde sex symbol. Kim Novak's career started in 1953 in an uncredited role in the film The French Line. Then, between 1954 and 1957, she landed roles in numerous highly successful films, but her biggest break came in 1958 in the cult Hitchcock classic, Vertigo. She was just 25 when she landed that role, and it shot her to fame. But because of her stunning beauty and newfound sex symbol status, she quickly found herself being typecast. In 1966, she had had enough, and she quit Hollywood to pursue a more serious acting career in TV films and series. But in the early 90s, she disappeared from the public altogether. Just like many former Hollywood starlets, she also turned to plastic surgeries, which went horribly wrong. After almost 15 years away from the spotlight, she stunned the world when she made a rare appearance at the 2014 Oscars, and people hardly recognized her. Social media went crazy with hurtful and horrible comments, and even Donald Trump chimed in, tweeting, "Kim should sue her plastic surgeon." Number 4. Lara Flynn Boyle. Lara Flynn Boyle was one of Hollywood's hottest young and upcoming stars, but her fame wasn't instant, and her sex symbol status didn't just come overnight. Lara had to work hard to make a name for herself in the film industry. She landed a small part in the 1986 classic hit comedy, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. But wait a minute, she wasn't in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, I hear you say. Well, she was and she wasn't. It could have been the break she needed to make a name for herself, but sadly, her scenes were cut in the final edits of the movie. And then the same thing happened again in another classic film that also could have boosted her career. She was cast as Ginny Danbury in 1989's Dead Poets Society, which starred Robin Williams. But once again, her scenes were cut from the movie. She finally found a small break when she was cast as Donna Gardner in the horror thriller Poltergeist III. But her long-awaited big break was as Donna Hayward in the popular series Twin Peaks. Between 1989 and 1991, she appeared in 30 episodes. It led to a string of films and television series, perhaps her most notable TV role being Helen Gamble in 132 episodes of The Practice. Sadly, her looks and appearance had long been a target point for gossip tabloids. If she's not too thin, then she's too puffy. There's always something mean to be said about her in the headlines. Rumors have long swirled that Lara had plastic surgeries done, but she's always firmly denied it. But let us know what you think. Number 3. Daryl Hannah. Here's a sexy bombshell that literally made a splash on our screens. Who can forget her as the absolutely gorgeous and shy mermaid in the movie Splash, starring opposite Tom Hanks? Her blonde hair and blue-green eyes captivated audiences, and it wasn't hard to instantly fall in love with her. But long before 1983's Splash, Daryl Hannah had already graced our screens with her beauty in countless films and series from as far back as 1978. Her first film was The Fury, which starred screen legend Kirk Douglas. She was just 17 years old at the time. Despite her obvious sex appeal, many of her roles had something in common. The fact that she often played a shy character. Like for instance in 1989's Steel Magnolias, where she hid her beauty behind a large pair of glasses and unkempt messy hair. But what no one knew at the time was that Daryl had been struggling with a debilitating condition since childhood, and it made acting near impossible for her. She once revealed in an interview that she has autism, saying, "I've never been comfortable being the center of attention. It's always freaked me out." She's long tried to stay away from the spotlight, purely because she was terrified. While she had been one of the hottest stars during the 80s, her popularity has faded in recent decades. Number 2, Sally Struthers. Funny, witty, charming, attractive, and sexy. Sally Struthers had it all. One of her first ever showbiz gigs was as a dumb and silly dancer on the Tim Conway Comedy Hour. Despite her on-screen persona of being not so bright, one thing was clear: Sally was easy on the eye. Sadly for her though, the show's producers felt she made the show look cheap, so they sent her packing. Or maybe it wasn't such a bad thing after all, because just after leaving the show, she landed a huge role opposite Jack Nicholson, playing Betty in 5 Easy Pieces. Once again, she played a not-so-bright character, but this time, her sexiness was on full display. After that, she appeared in a number of small film and TV roles before landing her breakthrough role as Gloria in the all-time favorite comedy series, All in the Family. She was on the show for 184 episodes, and she became an overnight sensation. Everybody loved her. She continued on a pretty successful acting career, until finally stepping away from Hollywood and stepping into theater and onto the stage. She still appears in TV and film, but she is no longer the young sex bomb she once was. Although it has to be said, she is still just as vibrant and lively as always. Number 1. Pamela Anderson. Pamela Anderson is a name that needs no introduction. She was one of Hollywood's biggest sex bombs of all time. She was first discovered at a football game when she was shown on the big screen. At the time, she was a nobody, just a young girl from an average family. It wasn't long before she landed on the cover of Playboy magazine, still in her early 20s. The following year, in 1990, she was featured on the cover again, this time as Playmate of the Month, and she also landed the centerfold spot. During her long modeling career, she has worked with Playboy over the course of 25 years and has appeared on more Playboy covers than anyone else. She first found TV fame in 2 seasons of the comedy show, Home Improvement, but then landed her most iconic role ever as CJ Parker on Baywatch. The show made her an international star and sex symbol. However, she failed to become an A-list actress or one of Hollywood's great leading ladies. It's no secret that Pamela Anderson's looks have undergone many drastic changes over the years, and she suffered a lot of ridicule and found herself the victim of demeaning and judgmental headlines. Pamela has since reversed some of her procedures, so what do you think of her looks today? Of all the former sex bombs in our list, who surprised you the most? If you enjoyed this video, there's a good chance you'll also enjoy the one showing on your screen right now. Click, enjoy, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you on the next one.